everyone, and welcome to my channel After Dark Coffee and Crime. And if you are a regular here, hi and welcome, and I look forward to chatting with you in the live chat. If you are new, hi, and a very, very warm welcome to you, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. So today is going to be a little bit different to my normal format. Today I'm going to be just talking a little bit about Nicola Bulley and obviously giving updates. I've done shorts on my page here, but I just wanted to have a little dive in and just update everybody with what's going on with her case and where everything is at, and pop on here some of the press conference videos that have obviously been shown. Now, there isn't anything major that would be upsetting or triggering that will be discussed here today. However, there is, she is a missing person. And so for some people, a lot of people have experienced a missing person within their family and may find it hard to listen to. That's absolutely fine. Obviously, you've got to look after yourself. So obviously go, and we'll hope to see you on the next podcast that we have. But other than that, it is really just talking a little bit about her and what's happening and what's happened and where they are with her search at the moment. And just a bit about the experts that have sort of spoken on the case and how the police have obviously managed it, and just a little bit about my thoughts on it as well, because I'm seeing more and more in the press and sort of publicly that there's a lot of people that are thinking very similar to myself. So Nicola Bulley was a 45-year-old lady, and she was a mortgage advisor, and she has a partner and 2 children, and they live in Inskip in Lancashire. And on January the 27th, Nicola was reported as missing. She had been out on the school run, and the school run is a familiar walk obviously for Nicola, who obviously drops her children at school. And from the school run she then proceeded to take their dog for a walk. So what we know is that at 8:50 a.m. on the morning of the 27th of January, we know she drops the children off to school, and then she walks her dog Willow in St Michael's on the Wyre, Lancashire. And they are believed to have walked along the path by the River Wyre at 9 a.m. and she was seen by a dog walker who knows her, and they sort of briefly interacted because the pets obviously were interacting also, and then they just continued on their way, and Nicola continued her walk. And then at 8:53 Nicola sent an email to her boss before logging into a Microsoft Teams call at 9:01. So obviously on this walk she had been in contact with work. She obviously bumped into someone on this walk, and then while she'd obviously logged into the Teams conference call at about 9:10 she is seen by a second witness, and that witness said that they saw her on the bench at 9:10, and that was the last reported sighting of her. So there's that kind of 10-minute-ish window from the sightings. We know that at 9:30 the conference call has ended, but her phone remains connected, which is very odd. And then another passerby sees the phone on the bench at around 9:35 a.m. and also sees that Willow is sort of darting around between the two. And from my understanding, Willow was dry when the person found her, and her family go on to report her as missing. So on Saturday, January the 28th, the police deploy drones and helicopters and search dogs to obviously look for her. Now, people have been, really trying to help find Nicola. They've made banners. People are searching around the area, and from what I've seen, the area was, or where the phone was, it wasn't cordoned off by the police or anything. and I find that a little bit unusual because you just don't know what's happened to her. So there's a lot of people, searching for her, but obviously it's not a crime scene, so that may be why. However, they did send in crime scene officers in their white overalls and stuff like that, so they went to pick up the phone and obviously the harness and stuff for the dog. So it's kind of been treated as a crime scene, but obviously I would have expected at least around the area of the bench that perhaps maybe that they would have cordoned that off to stop people kind of coming across and contaminating the area. And people obviously need to be careful when they are out there helping the police to obviously have a little look around. So, over the course of time, family and friends have made pleas for people to help look for her. They've said that this is not like her. She wouldn't leave her children, and she would want to be home with her children. So this is very unlike Nicola, and obviously her family have been absolutely, beside themselves, worried about her.
From being hopeful to being heartbroken to being and just trying to be strong, because all we want is to find her for our girls and for Paul. You're trying to hold on to hope because she obviously we at the current time know nothing, and you want to hold on to the hope that no news is good news. But knowing Nikki, we just know that if she could be at home with the girls, we very firmly believe that's where she'd be.
There's just no, every single scenario comes to a brick wall, every single one of them. And then all we're doing is sitting there going round and round and round, going through every scenario, and then go back to the first scenario again and do the whole thing again. And it's just all day long, that's all we're doing. That's all we're doing.
How are you coping? It must be so difficult. Like you say, your focus is on the girls, and it has to be, but yeah. It must be so difficult.
I don't know how I'm coping. I don't even want to actually think about that. Just focus, just like I say, it's just about the girls, that's it. I'm there for them. I don't want to really elaborate on that. I don't want to take my eye off that.
It must be heartwarming to see the public response. I mean, hundreds of people trying to help.
It's amazing. It is right now. It's the only thing that we can take is, that level of support is out of this world. It gives us a great amount of comfort knowing that that's going on. They don't have anything else, do we?
Well, there's hope.
We're never ever going to lose the hope. Of course we're not. But right now, it is as though she has vanished into thin air. Just insane.
Now, as time has gone on, the police have said that they're keeping an open mind about what's happened. They're not treating the disappearance as suspicious. They have excluded her partner who was at work, and obviously they have now, as we know, come to the conclusion that she may have fallen into the river.
The inquiry team has undertaken a number, as I said, of dash cam, CCTV and ring doorbell footage. This has allowed us to eliminate any trace so far of Nicola having left the riverside, which is really important. So we believe that Nicola was in the riverside area and remained in the riverside area. We remain open to any inquiries that might lead us to question that. But at this time, we understand that she was by the river. Our main working hypothesis, therefore, is that Nicola has sadly fallen into the river, that there is no third party or criminal involvement, and that this is not suspicious, but a tragic case of a missing person.
And it's also been noted as well that during her walk she'd also contacted a friend to make arrangements for the children at the weekend. So there's a lot that's gone on in this missing persons case for Nicola, because to me there seems to be a lot of oddities surrounding what has happened. And I'm just going to play as well here a interview by somebody who's an expert, and he also is saying that it's all these things don't add up. The dog harness, the phone being on the bench, and her just disappearing completely. There's no evidence that she fell into the water, despite the police saying she's fallen into the water.
Yeah, this is a very strange one. I mean, I'm looking at this, I've worked on hundreds of cases, and this is a really odd one. I mean, the phone being found on a bench, normally if someone would trip, they would have their phone in their hand. You know, the dog being dry, people go in after dogs. This is why a lot of people drown. They jump in after their dogs, but the dog was found dry, so it clearly didn't go in the river. And that's what gets my suspicion about this case. It's a very, very odd one, and it appears, and I'm not on the scene, that there isn't any marks where she fell in, Nicola fell in down into the river. So it's a bit odd. And again, the dog harness was left on the side where normally the dog was seen wearing the harness. So, you know, I don't actually know. It's a very strange case, this one.
And they've appealed to another witness who has come forward, who may have potentially have seen her, which I'd shared also on my social media. And I agree, these things don't add up to me. Looking at what has happened on her walk, she's interacted with people. There's such a short window of time. You know, we know about the message that she sent regarding the children meeting up. The dog's harness was found. The phone was found still connected to a conference call, so it didn't look like there was any panic or anything. And it wasn't unusual for Willow to not have her harness on when they were walking. It has been said, obviously we know the dog was also dry, and we also understand that there was no slippage into the water, which is, you know, depending obviously overnight and during the day what the weather conditions are there, whether, you know, the bankage area is, you know, really soggy and kind of mulches, and so it's difficult to see. But they were very clear about, you know, there was not sort of any tracks to go into the water. Now the dog wasn't wet, so the only reason that I would think she would go into the water is if the dog fell in, which is what this expert has also said, thinking along my lines. You would only go into the cold water to get your dog out of the water, and you know, they say that often people drown from going into the water to rescue their dogs, but the dog was dry and there was only that short window of time, so we don't know what has happened within this 10-minute window. It's just very odd and bizarre that someone, it looks like they've kind of just vanished and disappeared. Now, the expert was saying on the video that the phone could have been left there as a decoy to distract from, you know, what was going on, and distract, you know, keep people focused in the area of the river and that section. But it's been said as well that she's not been seen. They've monitored CCTV in and around the area, and there's no trace of her there either. So it's not like she's walked off or anything. They haven't seen her being taken or anything like that. So it's just the most unusual disappearance case that I've kind of heard of, where there's no, you know, concrete anything to suggest she's fallen into the river, because it didn't suggest it in the beginning. They've combed the river as well with the boats. Obviously they're going to continue. Now I don't know if they used sonar before, but they will hopefully be using sonar, because it is really useful for detecting bodies and cars and things under the water. And the water's said to be about 4 feet. I'm 5'1", so it would be up to probably my chest area. Now, if you're a good swimmer and you happen to slide into the water at 4 foot, you know, you'd probably be okay, and you probably might be able to get out unless your foot's got trapped under something. But then they've combed the area, they've looked at that section in the water. So if she was there and had fallen in and got caught or something, they would have seen her. Now, it's possible, even though there was no marks to suggest she slipped and fell into the water, she could have banged her head and may have then sort of floated away. But it doesn't look to me like that river has that sort of section of the river has the strongest sort of current. But I don't know, I don't live in the area, I don't know the tidal information on that's just my observation of sort of where that is in comparison to like the river where I live, which is, you know, you can see really strong tidal currents, and it could be that if she has gone into the water, that she's got caught up somewhere down there because she was wearing a heavy coat, welly boots, obviously the hat, and that gets quite heavy in the water. But it's difficult, and her friends and family were a little bit, it seemed from what I was seeing, a little bit like taken aback by the fact that the police had done that press conference and said that she was in the water. And a different expert also said it's very unusual for the police to kind of come to that conclusion that quickly.
Hope was ignited. I couldn't tell you the feeling like something's got to come of all this information. We then get the news bulletin, and it comes up with this hypothesis, then that sinking feeling again. And I just wanted to quote what we're saying is what struck a chord. She said the search continues to no avail, and then obviously a hypothesis is on limited information. And when we're talking about a life, we can't base it on a hypothesis. Surely we need this factual evidence. And like you've just both said, that's what the family and us are all holding on to, that we're actually no further on than sadly last Friday. We still have no evidence, and that's why we're out again in force. You don't base life on a hypothesis, do you? You absolutely can have hypotheses, but then you need something to back that hypothesis up to become factual.
Now, for me, I think that's the wrong, you know, by saying they think she's gone into the water, it then kind of, people then get to the point where they're like, oh well, she's gone into the water, I don't need to keep my eye on things, I don't need to look back on my dash cams, I don't need to, if they're a shop owner or a business owner, they don't need to check their CCTV, and it just becomes then a cold missing persons case, and then the police start to scale back as well. Now, I know that they have been scanning the water even more, but they haven't obviously found anything as yet. So, you know, I can't imagine at all what her family are going through. I've seen the dad and his interview, and I've seen, you know, family and other friends doing their interview, and it looks to me like they are being, you know, really strong when they probably don't want to be really strong. And you know, it just, every day that goes past is another day that it's very unlikely that she is going to come home. Now, I did watch the partner's interview, and did I find it unusual and a bit odd? Yes, and there has been lots of people obviously talking about that as well. However, that's my opinion. There was something not quite right with that interview, but that could have been nerves, that could have been anything. And until we're in that situation where, you know, we've lost our partner, we're trying to manage children, and you don't know what's going on, don't know if your partner's coming home, you can't comment on that really. Like, and if you do, you've got to be respectful and just say, look, this is my opinion, there was something not quite right with that interview, but also think along the lines of, you know, that there's many reasons why that could be, and he was excluded from the search. And it could be as well that, like, you know, people know that when the police start investigations, they start with the family, and he's probably also like thinking, oh my god, everyone thinks it's probably going to have been me. So it's really difficult to know, you know, where that sort of behaviour and interview style has come from. And also, if you've never been on TV before or interviewed, add that onto everything that's going on, and you can't comment and say for definite, like, yeah, 100% he's up to something, or he knows something. If there is a situation where he does know something, everything will come out in the end. But it's just a case of just being respectful when people are talking about the cases as well. And I did come across a psychic over on TikTok, and I don't know how she came onto my FYP page, and she literally is never, like, I scrolled through her content, and she literally said, this is not my normal content, and she didn't describe anything about the case or anything. She literally just went straight into, I think she is no longer here, and then she was making opinions on the husband that are baseless just on her abilities. Now, I get, obviously, they're psychic. There are psychic believers out there, and I don't have that ability. I don't know or understand much about it. However, when you're in this case early on like this, it's dangerous to be saying things like that, because the family are watching, the husband is probably watching, the children probably scrolling through TikTok, and they see that being described, those things about the dad. So, when covering the cases, just, especially this one, just please, be respectful of the fact that people are, they're hurting. They're now sort of looking at the grieving stages that they're probably not going to see Nicola again. And, try not to be accusatory. You're allowed an opinion. Like I said, I thought something wasn't quite right with that interview. However, there could be many reasons for that, so we don't know, but it just stood out that something was a little bit odd. But we have to wait and see. Now, the police may know more than they're letting on, as we know that is often the case. They could be saying they think she's fallen in the water as a bit of a decoy to, let whoever they have under their radar think that, well, I've got on away with this or whatever, because they think that she's fallen into the water. We don't know. In summary, Nicola still is a missing person. There is nothing that says 100% that she has fallen into that water. There are just some unusual variables in this case, like I said, with the harness, the phone, the meetings, and obviously that short window of time with no proof that she's gone into the water. And so I kind of agree that could be a working hypothesis, and the police are probably working on that, but they're probably not coming forward with that. But I do agree that that is a very bizarre situation to have obviously left your phone like that, being in contact with people, because it doesn't suggest that there's any mental health issues, and they haven't said anything about her having any mental health issues like depression or anxiety or anything like that. So we're not working along those lines. Now, that could be something that they know about and they haven't said yet, and that could come out. And I think as time goes on, things are going to come out. We know that they have trawled the river. I don't know whether they've used sonar. Hopefully, if they haven't, they will be using the sonar technology. And obviously, you've got search parties looking for her, and a team of frogmen trawling beneath the surface of the river wire, and divers to sort of scour, going through the bottom of that river. So there is continuing currently to be a lot going on, and she is now in the paper every day, because when this first started, there wasn't actually much going on with this case, and I'm glad that I'm now seeing this case everywhere, as well as the fact that I've been kind of sharing the bits I can, and now I am seeing so much more. I am seeing more of her on TikTok, I am seeing more of her on YouTube, and this is great, because this social media goes a long way to helping find people and information and stuff like that. So please do share the live or the premiere. Please do, if you see stuff regarding this case, please do share it, because it goes a long way, and you just don't know who is gonna find the video. So that is all I have for now. I'm going to close out by just playing the interview by her family on the end here, and I will keep everybody updated on whether or not Nicola is found, where they are, what they are doing with the case, whether they're scaling back or they are continuing. The witness that they were looking for has come forward. There could be more witnesses that come up that they may be looking for. So as things unravel, I will put them on my shorts, and I hope that either way, whether it's good news or not good news, that Nicola is reunited with her family, even if the worst has happened, for the sake of her family and closure. Either way, I hope she does come home, but obviously we want her home alive and well. So let's hope and pray for her family and her safe return. And as I said, any updates, I will share them in here on my shorts, because obviously they are shorts and it's just short updates as I get them. And obviously if we get any news of her being found, I will obviously let everybody know. And next week, hopefully I'll be back to my normal format. I've had a bit of a more relaxed week this week. So, and I have been researching a bigger case to obviously bring to the table to obviously share, but I may bring something else in the meantime. Just depends on how big it is and how much information there is. So hopefully I will see everybody again next week on the premiere, and stay safe. If you see something, say something, and I will be back. Bye everybody, bye.
It's hard. It's hard. We're such a close-knit family. We are a close-knit family, I'm sorry. But we're such a close-knit family. We do anything for any one of us, and the children would do the same for us. We're getting on in life. We talk to each other, both our children, Louise and Nicola, and the children every day. There's not a day goes by